City Hope Church, hi. If you don't know who I am, I'm Obakhe Bukula. I'm a partner at City Hope Church, which is a family I'm really proud to be a part of. And in my Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, I'm a commercial attorney in Sandton, Johannesburg. When I think about this series about looking at God and, the course of history and his hand in the course of history, it leads me to think about what's my story, if I even have one? What has God done in my life that, not only benefits me or that I can see his hand moving in my own story, but benefits others so that they can come to a saving knowledge of Jesus and what he's done on the cross. If you don't know a little bit about my history, about a decade ago, I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, which is formally an anxiety disorder, which is characterized by intrusive thoughts, which cause a lot of distress. And so to sort of quell the anxiety that's caused by those intrusive thoughts, you perform what we call compulsions, actions or certain gestures or even thought patterns that try and quell that anxiety. And you do so obsessively, which is where, the obsession comes in OCD. And so it's definitely not lost on me, the irony that, I suffer from an anxiety disorder, but I also find myself in probably the most stressful environment I've ever been in. It's incredibly stimulating, incredibly challenging, but I would be lying if I said that a career in law was smooth sailing or it was easy. It is probably the most stressful environment I've ever found myself in. And so how do I, as a junior lawyer, as a junior commercial attorney, how do I lead people towards a knowledge of Christ? How do I witness effectively and kind of make, Christ look attractive to people who are 40 to 50 years older than me with a similar amount of experience in law, who sort of weathered the storms of this practice? How do I show them, this little anxiety-laden body, that I actually feel so at peace because I have a saving knowledge of Jesus? And in an environment like this, vulnerability is not something that's welcomed. The first sort of rule that you have, after you've read the Companies Act, of course, is that you never show weakness to your client. Never really say, I don't know, or I've never come across something. Vulnerability is largely discouraged in an environment like this. But I've been a believer for a very long time, and one of my least favorite characters in the Bible was the Apostle Paul, just because I felt that, he was a bit braggy in some of his letters to various churches. But as time has gone, I've realized that he's actually led with a lot of vulnerability, that he shares his story about, how he came to encounter the living God, how he came to have a saving knowledge of Jesus, and how that transformed his life, and really stripped him of the guilt and the shame that he felt for persecuting the very body of Christ. And if you wouldn't mind, I just want to read you a passage that has completely altered my approach to a space like this. And it's found in 2 Corinthians, which context is addressed to the Corinthian church, which had sort of succumbed or was largely influenced by false teaching. And so Paul is really trying to recalibrate their direction to the gospel that they first believed. And so he writes in verse 11, or chapter 11 rather, verse 23, "Are they servants of Christ? I am a better one. I'm talking like a madman, with far greater labors, far more imprisonments, with countless beatings, and often near death. 5 times I received at the hands of the Jews the 40 lashes less one. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I was adrift at sea. On frequent journeys, in danger from rivers, danger from robbers, danger from my own people, danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers, in toil and hardship, through many a sleepless night, in hunger and thirst, often without food, in cold and exposure. And apart from other things, there is the daily pressure on me of my anxiety for all the churches. Who is weak and I am not weak? Who is made to fall, and I am not indignant?" I've learned to be very open with my story. I'm the least mysterious person that you know. There's nothing that I do not disclose. I tend to be an oversharer. And it's something that I learned during my journey with OCD, but certainly from encouraging scriptures like this. Sometimes as believers, we feel like we need to have it all together. But what I've learned from the story of Paul, and certainly in a commercial practice, is that we lead with vulnerability. Yes, I don't know what Section 129 of the Companies Act says, but what I do know is that over each transaction, each deal that we do, I pray. And I make it known that I pray, that once we conclude, I entrust that deal, I entrust that transaction to the living Creator, who will take care of the businesses that we service and the clients that we take care of, because ultimately we do so as servants unto Christ. And so those are things that I make known in this space. I also care for junior lawyers who we train each intake each year. And I'm praying that my office is a safe space for them to come and ask a question about how to draft this particular agreement or this facility, or how to approach their partner with a difficult question. Vulnerability is our greatest power because Christ's power is perfected in that weakness. And so if you feel like you don't have a story, if you feel that your story is unfinished, like mine, I still struggle with anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, and I can feel it rise up when I'm in a stressful deal with very tight timelines. But if you feel that, your story is unfinished, just know that Christ is taking care of you even in those moments. And that is being evident and is being made evident to the people around you. So as we continue to look at God, look at His hand through history, don't be discouraged. And hopefully as we can learn to disclose our vulnerabilities to one another, we point people to the person who can take care of them, the person who truly cares for them. And that is the almighty living God. So look at God.